Hey everybody, I'm Alan with Bricks and Blocks Gaming, and in this video I'll be discussing the bait and switch power for the game of Stargrave, explaining what it does, suggesting some strategies for using it, and giving my opinion and rating for it. So let's get to the bricks and blocks of bait and switch. In the main Stargrave book, bait and switch is one of the core powers for the rogue background. It has an activation number of 12, causes 2 points of strain damage when successfully used, and being a line of sight power, it can target a figure up to 24 inches away. And that figure must be carrying loot. And it's important to note that this can only target soldiers, not captains or first mates. If they fail a will roll, with a target number of 14, their loot is dropped, and the activator can move it up to 4 inches from the target figure. Bait and switch is a fairly straightforward power that can really mess with an opponent's strategy. Unlocking loot tokens is difficult enough, but then having to spend an extra action to pick up data loot, or having your movement slowed by carrying physical loot, means that being forced to backtrack and spend another action to pick up a token a figure was already carrying can really slow down a team's efforts, or make the prospect of going back for it hopeless if it was moved into a pack of trailing enemies. It can be used every turn to make a figure drop their loot over and over, but it has a strain of 2, so it can be dangerous to use it that way. Also, the target number of 14 for the target to resist it isn't that high. So even if the power is successful and the activator takes the strain damage, the target can then resist it, leaving the commander with just 10 experience points for activating a power with no effect. The wording doesn't specify opposing figure, so one other use is to target an allied figure, to essentially have them toss their loot 4 inches toward a teammate to pass the baton. This isn't the most reliable strategy though, as the wording says they must make a will roll. But targeting an allied recruit that's carrying a physical heavy loot token and has +0 will, or any wounded soldier that has -2 to all their rolls, means bait and switch has fair odds of succeeding and granting some much welcomed easy movement of the precious cargo. Then the newly unburdened figure is able to serve as a meat shield for the new hauler. And perhaps that's why they always try to resist the call to throw away their loot. The ability to force an enemy figure that's up to 24 inches away to just drop their loot on the ground can be very useful, and has the power to make what should be an easy loot for an opponent to secure into something they have to battle over and possibly lose. But it's somewhat unreliable with the activation number of 12 and resistance rule only needing a 14. And the strain of 2 can limit its number of uses. Also, only targeting soldiers means it loses value against players that pick up loot with their captains and first mates. And essentially stealing loot tokens from an opponent can cause some frustrations between players. So it's not the nicest power to bring to the table. So I give bait and switch 3 out of 5 stars, as it's a good secondary strategy with the versatility to be used on enemy or ally, just not something to build a captain or first mate around. Be sure to check out my other Stargrave content and comment below with your thoughts about the bait and switch power and whether you agree or disagree with my assessment. I'm Alan with Bricks and Blocks Gaming. Thanks for watching and play well.